Hello there, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Civic Space TV. You're watching the Citizens Chat Show. I'm your host, Judith Atim. And on today's show, we're discussing two significant issues that have dominated headlines over the last few days. We'll be dissecting the Kampala city traders' strike, which was a powerful protest against the government's tax policies and its subsequent resolution. But also we shall explore the highly anticipated NRM Central Executive Committee elections, which is a crucial internal political process for the country's ruling party. And to help us make sense of these two topics or complex issues, I am joined by this distinguished panelists. From my immediate left, Dr. Robert Ojiambo, head of the History Department at Kyambongo University, and a regular on this show. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers.
Dr. Bireete, Executive Director, Center for Constitutional Governance. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Judith, and good afternoon, panelists and viewers.
Also, we have the rare opportunity to have with us Mr. Godber Tumushabe, team lead at the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies. You're most welcome.
A great pleasure to be here once again. Good afternoon, our viewers and listeners.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph Ochieno, political commentator and UPC Idelogue. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure being particularly next to Godber after a few weeks.
I don't really know that with the joy you have to add an
and yes, also,
yes.
just for the benefit of our viewers, Joseph just picked the nomination forms recently for the presidential aspirant. So he is a presidential hopeful.
As number what?
What number were you assigned?
148.
148. Amazing.
Okay. So, and the number is growing. As of last week, we were at 161. How many now? I think, are we not pushing 200 probably?
Check the latest.
Because I want to look for the last minute so that I pick my phone at the last minute when nobody else can check. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So last but not least, we also have the pleasure to have with us a retired Major Awich Pollar, who is the Director for External Affairs at the NRM Secretariat. He missed the show last week, but we're happy to have you back this week.
Thank you. Greetings to our viewers. I'm also happy to be sitting next to a presidential hopeful. If we exercise, power belongs to the people, and the people choose him, he will remember me.
And he will not come back to the show.
It's not impossible to have a new commander-in-chief with a new army commander.
Power belongs to the people. And I also...
I hope he can also come back
to the show.
But I also noticed...
That has already been considered.
I noticed that is number 148. But that is also a demonstration of the democracy ushered in by the movement. Remember, Judith, there was a time in this country when Amin declared himself life president. And also the title president was not to be used anywhere, whether class president, football captain, club captain, don't even mention it. Not president of a club, not president of a class. Not president of anything. Say you're a captain of a club. Nobody will use the title.
Last week we had an extensive discussion on that particular issue. And I don't know if you could summarize for him your perceptions, what you had actually, your interpretation of the high numbers, Sarah.
Which comrade is celebrating?
He missed, yes. He's celebrating.
The president has been downgraded.
No,
to the extent that everybody, including the
I didn't know that Sarah can be very
sarcastic.
Yes, because it has been bastardized.
Sarah, carry on with the diplomacy, please.
To the extent that everybody thinks they can do a better job than NRM and President Museveni, including the very young people. There's a high school student among the aspirants. So really, I think President Museveni, this is a verdict after 40 years. Everybody feels they can do better than him.
In fact, what we said, it being nominated for presidency now in Uganda is a protest.
Yes.
Everybody was going there
Yes.
to protest and give a message, and showing that we need better, including this high school candidate to be was feeling that
Uganda deserves
that
better.
she could do better than what we have today.
Yeah. So
No, on the contrary, is that at state institutions, NRM has deliberately tried to democratize it and demystify it and put a human face and bring it home for everybody, including the gun, which used to threaten people. There was demystification and democratization. Similarly to the institution of the president, it is made for everybody, as long as power belongs to the people. In some countries, like Switzerland, the presidency is not something that you think so high. It is actually rotational. You find the president comes from this zone for 6 months, the other zone for 6 months, the other zone for 6 months, and that is the president of Switzerland. So it's not that it's something God ordained. So in this case, NRM has tried to demystify, to democratize, and bring home for anybody. In any case, we have lauded Article 1, power belongs to the people. So what is wrong with everybody aspiring and saying it out? That is the democracy NRM
that
has
democracy
brought.
changes at election time. Yes.
No, you see, I think it's, we have to find a way of getting people like Awich and helping them to rediscover themselves. Because I'm still baffled that, you know, you'll go to school, you are Awich, you are highly educated, you are exposed, you are, by any standard, you are a senior army officer.
He's an advocate of the High Court.
You are an advocate of the High Court. So why it is important that sometimes we have to respect people's opinion. When you express an opinion that you are giving and say, oh, you know, we this is power belongs to the people. We've demystified the gun. You had an election, a primary election, where all your candidates fought amongst themselves. You belong to an organization that cannot count people who are standing in the people's backs. And almost over 300 constituencies, you have to bring papers of people standing in the people's back to count them from Kampala. You know, I mean, it's a bit, for me, it's a bit difficult to get to digest. You talk about demystifying the gun. I know that you know our people who are dying. You know, people have been kidnapped and tortured. You are commander, you are chief of defense forces, abducted and tortured an ordinary Ugandan and displayed pictures on Twitter. I've been following this case of this lady whom I didn't know about. Marinos. Abducted and raped and tortured. So when educated people begin to operate in an echo chamber, and so in other words, they have to close all of themselves from what's happening in the environment and almost present alternative facts. No, I think as Ugandans, we just need to become more ruthless in pushing back, because I know for sure the decent man that Awich is, he knows how Ugandans are suffering. When I was coming, I was watching a video clip where one guy is trying to organize a meeting in his compound, and the DPC is there. You know, someone with all these 3 stars, a DPC is there trying to stop a meeting in my compound. We really have to find a way. I don't know whether we should get there, which is take them, if we get to the opportunity, take them to Chankwanzi and say, man, you don't have to speak for NRM all the time. There must be a time where all of us, including the Josephs and others, where UPC becomes immaterial, NRM becomes immaterial, NUP becomes immaterial, and we're talking about Uganda. And that, I really get a feeling that people are losing the Ugandanness, the sense of Uganda, that when I see if Awich is being treated unfairly, I know he's NRM, but I say no. Awich is a Ugandan, and that kind of criminality, that violence, he should not be subjected to the kind of violence that this NRM regime is subjecting our people. So I really find it offensive that people can, I know people say, oh, respect people's opinions, but some of these opinions, I'm not sure.
Okay.
No,
sure.
instead, what worries me about Godber's presentation is that if you look at the table, what he has presented, he has discussed two things. The topic we were discussing is the institution of the presidency. Has it been demeaned or democratized? Now, Godber leaves the topic and concentrates on the person of Awich. You see, Godber, big minds don't discuss people. Now you're discussing me when I'm there. I wonder how it would be if I was not there. I have been with people like Professor Kamuntu. I can give his name as an example. Do you know that when you mention names, including the opponents of Kamuntu, he loses interest in what you are talking? So I wonder that Godber, instead of discussing the topic on the table, he takes my head, puts it on the table, and digests my head. Who are you to discuss me, Awich? The topic is the institution of the president. It is a simplistic argument and outdated to start discussing a person, and you start telling him, the problem with you, who are you to know my problem? So the issue is the institution of the presidency. Now, for you to create two topics, one is Awich, one is the institution of the president, and you spend 10 minutes on Awich. Please, let us, it is my view on the institution of the president. Say your view on the institution of the president, or not how Awich is bad, how Awich is stupid or clever, how you want to help Awich. Big mind don't discuss people. Big mind discuss philosophy. Leave me alone and leave Ochieno alone. Discuss the topic.
So I want us to move. We had a lengthy discussion about this last week. So I want us to go to the first part of our discussion for today, which is the strike by the traders, which has now been called off. Just to give you context, on Tuesday, the traders, most of whom belong to the Kampala City Traders Association Uganda, initiated a strike. And we saw a lot of shops in downtown Kampala or the central business district closed along hubs like Nabugabo, Chikubo, Kiseka. So the key grievances by the traders, they had a number of them. Of course, protests against what they termed as unfair tax policies, issues that are crippling their businesses. So specifically, the grievances were high taxes, especially the controversial weight-based tax system on imported textiles, the mandatory electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing system, or EFRIS, which many of the traders say is complex and unfairly targets small businesses. They also had concerns about increased rental fees, the influx of foreign nationals, especially Chinese traders who are engaging in retail trade, and they say this is actually squeezing out local competition, delays in container clearance and inflated customs valuations by URA, and so on. We saw a number of them arrested that day, and so many other things. But on Wednesday, the Prime Minister called for a meeting to de-escalate the tensions. There was also a back and forth. They didn't want to have a meeting until their colleagues who had been arrested a day before were released. And this happened. We know that 16 of them have been released, except one who is still in custody because he needed an interpreter. So just for us to come to this discussion, I'll start with you, Dr. Ojiambo. This is not the first time we are seeing protests from our traders, but when you see a pattern of protests coming, is there a particular pattern that you notice with the protests from our traders, or are these sporadic protests that come out maybe because of certain grievances? In many cases, we see that they failed to meet the president to have previous issues resolved. And so what is your reading into this?
Yeah, Judith, thank you for that pertinent issue. The issue of trade really affects all of us in Kampala here, because that's the only thing that has remained in this city. We don't have industries which are producing. Many of the service amenities have collapsed, including health centers and hospitals. So the only thing that keeps people in Kampala here is the little trade that takes place downtown. But permit me, before I delve into that, for the purpose of our viewers, the end thing now in Uganda is Uganda cranes. That is the talk of everybody, to an extent that even if people who don't know what football is all about, they're interested in it, they want to follow. It is the only thing that gives Uganda hope. In fact, it is only sports that normally gives us some hope and remove us from this parochial thinking of political parties, religion, ethnicity, and so on. There we don't care who scores the goal, whether he is from northern Uganda or from where. Is a Uganda crane, and we want to congratulate those boys. On Monday, they did us very, very, very great when they made that comeback. Such a comeback, I've only seen it in very few instances by teams coached by Alex Ferguson and Jose Mourinho. In Uganda here, we have never had a comeback like that one. The last time we did a 3-3 with another team was in 1989 when we were playing Malawi in Kasarani Stadium. And I think we were losing the match until Paul Hasule, who was a captain, team captain at that time, skipped. We used to call him the skipper, because he led the team and went and headed in a goal that made us 3-3. We went for penalty kicks and won that trophy in 1989. I remember I was a little boy in P6, but following on Radio Kenya by a man, the commentator then was Salim Manga, and being assisted by his friend Leonard Mambo Botella. And when that goal entered, we were little kids in bare chest. We celebrated, and on Monday, each one of us was a Paul Hasule. And that is how it shows you that when you love soccer, it is more than a religion. It is more than a religion. And since then, I can tell you, in 1990, who won? In 1990, we went to Zanzibar and defended the trophy. In 1991, we were defeated in the quarterfinals by, I think, by Zambia, but Kenya finally won the trophy. And that crop of players was one of the greatest. In fact, it was just following the crop that had been left behind, the Latigos, the Dennis Obuas, the Tom Luangas, and that group. Then we got the group of the Sekajas, which was a very fantastic squad. The Sekajas, the Jackson Mayanjas, the Aloros, and they did not qualify because of the disorganization that was in FUFA then, led by Dennis Obua, the Kakaires, and others. Now, this Magogo is a two-sword shape. And I want to tell you that Magogo has done something very good for the soccer of Uganda. For people who doubt him, he has a good side of him. He has elevated our team to a level that now our team goes into the pitch and it is a Uganda crane with the value, with the power and everything. And we have qualified in various tournaments. We have qualified. By the way, this is our 8th tournament of Chan and others. I remember there is a time under Dennis Obua.
The coach too.
Under Dennis Obua.
The coach much credit.
Yeah, I'm coming. Under Dennis Obua, I remember cranes playing in jerseys of Inter Milan. And they were putting on Inter Milan jerseys and they were Uganda crane. And it was embarrassing in Chivubo. Some of us felt it was very bad. Uganda crane would go to borrow boots in Owino. After playing, they return. Gone are those days. And even I think the government has done a great deal to put in a lot of money to support the Uganda crane. Although football down here, they have killed it in other divisions. I am a secretary of a football football club.
Which one?
This Kyambongo United. But I also led a team to the big league, Kyambongo FC, another club. So I know things about football. So Magogo has done a very good thing. So what we were complaining about last time was not because we have any problem with the administration of FUFA or anybody. We were just talking about the plight of our boys, where they are staying right now, and knowing that we are even the hosts. Uganda crane is a national treasure. It's like a Uganda flag, Ugandan emblem, and those are the national treasures that we have. So they must be kept in a place that is good. Of course, I am happy. The FUFA president,
you have a good administrator who takes the
FUFA president has explained himself very well and has given his reasons why the team is kept at that Chisasi apartment, which they are calling a hotel. I has said that he kept the team there for exclusivity, so that the team is exclusive from disturbances of people. And also in that facility, they have said...
You agreed with him?
No. I don't need to agree. I don't need to agree. And he also said that that place has specialized facilities that are good for football players. And my question was, is Algeria stupid to stay in a place which does not have specialized facilities in the name of Africa, this hotel, Serena Hotel, or the other teams that are staying in Sheraton? So are they stupid to stay in places which are not customized? I think the answer is no. But this helps us to better our country. And the people who are bitter because we complain about these things, they are bitter for nothing. Because for us, we don't have anything about soccer. But congratulations, the boys. We shall be with you on Saturday. And I know if we could beat on Saturday, if we could beat South Africa, we shall beat Senegal. Because Senegal is weaker than South Africa. I've watched both of them. So the boys, go Kelo, go Torach, go Ahimbisibwe, go everybody, we are behind you. Now to the traders. Inside Kasita right now, there is a struggle between Issa Sechito and the other man who was the NRM candidate for Lord Mayor. He's called. So the former chairman. So there is also infighting, and because of that infighting, in fact, Sechito dismissed the other one. And the other one has also dismissed Kasita. So I don't know if they go to a court of law who is the credible leader of Kasita. But let's leave the administration alone. Judith, you said that these people have...
Issa Sekito has always been the spokesperson.
Yes, but now they are removed. That's why he's now chairman. He's speaking as chairman, acting chairman. Because you remember, ever since the other chairperson died during COVID, they had never elected. So they had put this doctor, somebody, to be the interim chair, and he was the general secretary. He's the substantive general secretary. But when he went for NRM elections, the other section of Kasita group said that for him he had become partisan. So they don't want a leader who is partisan, because Kasita is a non-partisan organization. So they removed him and put Issa Sekito as the acting chairman. And that's why yesterday he was speaking as acting chairman. But the other group also organized and dismissed Kasita. So right now we have a leadership problem in Kasita itself. But leadership problem aside, I think the issues they are complaining about are genuine. They are very, very genuine. The only problem is the platform. The platforms that they are using may not yield any success. You remember last time when they demonstrated, the president came and he gave them promises if this was was stopped and many other things were done, but it did not solve their problems. So yesterday when they met the Prime Minister gave them, requested them to give her some time, 2 weeks, so that she can go and look at the issues. But when you look at the issues they are complaining about, one is policy related, two is some of the issues are because of the ad hocism that runs in our country, and three, the management, the implementation of the whole policy. Of course, when you talk to the people in URA, they say for them they don't levy taxes. They were explaining, the Commissioner General was explaining that the policies, the regulations are made by 3 institutions. He mentioned the Committee of Finance, the Minister of Finance, and generally Parliament. And therefore, he was saying that for them, they are just implementers. The biggest issue that the traders, because with IFRIS, they had somehow said they can work with it, with its problems, but now they have introduced another thing. You know, traders would go to China or wherever and buy things and put in one container. Let's use the example of China. When it reaches here, URA has now sanctioned that each individual must get their thing and they are taxed as individuals, not as a container. And for them, they feel that that is double taxation. They have already been assessed the other side. They have paid some monies there. Now again, you come here and you start to pay as individuals. The other thing that they are bitter about and which they have never resolved is measuring clothes in kilograms. That you have pieces of cloth and they are supposed to be levied and taxed as in kilograms. So you have your jeans come with what, and they put them and they say each kilogram is these dollars, and you know these taxes are in dollars. And they are saying a jean, the value of a jean is different from Ndibota, from second hand, or from the other one. So there is no way you can put them in a kilogram and tax them. So we are making losses, and the URA tells them, but you see, the price is determined by your costs plus the tax. They are saying, no, if I bring a jean and sell it at 150, many people in Uganda will not buy it, so we cannot sell it. So the third thing is a tax exemption, that certain traders, especially from Korea and China and those Asian countries, they bring their things in Uganda on preferential treatment. In fact, they gave an example of those Koreans, Chinese, and the Pakistanis who bring here vehicles, For them, they are given some preferential treatment because they are bringing in money. And the Okelo, or Mukasa, or Barikoa, or Bariamujura, for them, they are taxed to the letter. So they were asking the president, and I was very happy with that question, that the president has been preaching patriotism, how to love their country. How come Bariamujura pays higher taxes than Chinghu? So that is one of the questions they are asking. And the last one, and I want to say that all these things are really valid, but the problem is that, you see, there are problems, as I've always said. We have a Ministry of Trade, which is supposed to be dealing with these traders. We have a Ministry of Finance. We have Kampala City Authority. We have many ministries which are here. But you don't hear their voices. You hear the voice of a certain politician, and the politician does not have a really magic bullet to heal these problems. So I think the Minister of Trade needs to get concerned, because if you check at our tax revenue, the traders are contributing almost 80%. These people who bring these small things in Uganda, they are the ones contributing 80%. So when you destabilize them, you are destabilizing the whole economy. And where is the Minister of Trade to liaise with the Minister of Finance to deal with these policies and harmonize these people? The other thing they are complaining is that there are very few traders in Kampala who can go and hire a mall or a shop. So what they do, they combine about 10 or 5 of them, they hire space and sublease to each other to be able to survive. Because this is an economy, a survive economy, people are really surviving. But when URA comes, says each one of them should have iflis. Each one of them in that small shop should have iflis so that they know Kelo is there. So for them, what they had become innovative. They create iflis for that space, and therefore they are judged as that. So there is a person who has 300,000, another one has 1 million, another one has 10 million, another one 300 million. So cannot all afford the same parameters. So I think this is an issue that any government which is worth its name should look at carefully and come up with the proper solutions to these problems. I don't think that these political pronouncements are going to solve this problem.
Thank you.
They will continue striking.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, let me come to you. Of course, still I need your thoughts about why these perennial problems do not seem to see the end. But also when you look at the situation of arrest, the arrest of these traders who were protesting in relation to, of course, issues of freedom of assembly and the right to protest, especially given the context that this was a protest by the traders. What does it, I mean, I just want to understand this from a constitutional or a legal standpoint. Isn't it a contradiction? This are traders protesting, and it is a traders protest. So why should there be limitations or impediments to their right to actually voice their grievances?
You know, in Uganda under NRM, the only people who enjoy a right to protest are those who protest in support of either NRM or government. Those ones will be escorted with even the police band. But any other people outside that group does not enjoy the fundamental right to protest, to show any disagreement, a right that is enshrined under Article 29 of the Constitution. That has been the character of NRM for 40 years. Maybe the only way traders would protest is if they went to Chadondo, bought these long yellow uniforms, wore them, and then they first sing Museveni Oye, then they can read their message. Maybe there then police can allow them. But minus that, nobody outside the yellow enjoys the right and freedom to protest in Uganda. But why are traders protesting? And I want to pick it from where Dr. Ojiambo stopped, the absence of Ministry of Trade. I had even to Google the ministers. I couldn't remember, like, who is the Minister of Trade. I discovered that my uncle, he was my father's family friend, Mwevesa. I call him my uncle, but not by blood. Very old. He's the senior Minister of Trade. I'm sure he has no energy to catch up with the Chikubo people. And it's not that I despise age. These people are supposed to be retired, very successful businessmen, like Mwevesa. They should be in their homes or slowly working on their farms and businesses, but not running government. So he's the minister, I think, cabinet minister.
He's from Tari, so.
Yeah, very good businessman. He really ran the business show in Imbarara. Very successful. But he has no energy to supervise issues like the Chikubo traders and others. So then the deputy, General Mbadi, other than the time we knew he was removed from the army, I checked his name again yesterday to confirm like who is in charge of a docket. Have not had any statement from him, to the extent that the traders had to meet Nabanja. I don't know whether the ministers attended or not. There is no statement on record from these ferrers. So in my view as a citizen, we don't have people in charge of the docket of trade. We could just be having figureheads. So they are nowhere. You know, the traders would still have, you know, grievances in a context of bad governance like ours. But during the days of Amelia, we know how Honorable Amelia Chambade would engage traders and resolve their issues. There was no need for traders to meet the president. And the traders knew, even sending a mere petition to Honorable Chambade's office, there would be dialogue. Whether they got the lasting solutions or not, that's now a debate for another day. But as a leader, she was there to dialogue and handle their issues, unlike the current people we have today. So what are the concerns of the traders? Like Ojiambo has highlighted some. I just want to go in detail on 3 issues. One is the taxes on textiles and garments under the, you know, the sloganeering of Bubu. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. And it's not that, I don't think there is any Ugandan who doesn't love Uganda. So me, even this empty talk of patriotism, of buy Uganda, I find it empty and simply rhetoric, political rhetoric. For the reason that I don't think there is any Ugandan who hates Uganda. 2, I don't think that there is any Ugandan who would prefer foreign commodities if the national commodities were quality. I also don't think so.
Quality and price competitive, yes.
Yes. So the only way to promote Bubu is not by putting high prohibitive taxes on imported goods before you build your industry. It would be to now subsidize the industry to grow and out compete the foreign industry. Because which trader would go to import things knowing that they are quality, competitive products on the market that are locally manufactured? And that's where government should put their focus. Instead of taxes, now Ugandans, one of the complaints under that is that Ugandans have resorted to shopping from Kenya and Tanzania. So money is going out of the country under the empty sloganeering of Bubu. And the traders are out of business because their clothes are expensive. Previously, Kenyans used to shop here whenever they would come for meetings. Now it's the reverse. So money is getting out of the economy. If you go to the second grievance of investors who are now hawkers, you know there are these foreign investors from Europe. The hawkers, not investors. I want to use the real word. Who hawk utensils, office to office. I stay very far. I stay at the extra end of Kampala Metropolitan. I'm a villager. The other day they came to my house in the village. Hawking utensils. Foreigners.
Yes.
But you haven't seen them. We had to cross them out of offices. Sometimes they have a van. Sometimes they have a bike. You even meet them now, they've brought these local microphones for calling people for Burunji Bwansi. Now, those are the people we call investors under NRM. The investment code is very clear on who qualifies to be an investor, and they should only be in manufacturing, not retail trade and street hawking. So that's why the traders are on strike. And that is a political question. The third issue that I want to talk about is regarding VAT. I know there's an empty rhetoric from government saying Ugandans pay cheap price taxes if you compare to Kenya and Tanzania. They forget that in a bigger economy, the tax burden is lighter on the citizens as compared to a choked economy like Uganda. So comparing figures alone, without comparing other factors of production and the size of the economy, is fraudulent. They will quickly tell you, Ugandans, you are lucky you pay the cheapest price. But can we look at ourselves? People in formal employment, 50% goes into statutory obligations of your salary. You are a NSSF, although NSSF they say you get it when you are old, but 50% of your paycheck goes into statutory obligations. You take home 50%. That's why people in formal employment, before the month ends, and I know we always at staff meetings, I always ask, when are you paying? Like we are broke. So before the month ends, everybody's broke.
Yeah.
That is formal employment. And I don't think that we are the only exception.
No.
When you got people in businesses, hoteliers are choking. I have been to several hotels, you book a meeting, they tell you, all you are paying, you are is just taking. We are about to close. They are just a going concern in economic terms because of heavy taxes. Of course, URA and the government, they will say, support us, but support us at what cost? At what cost? And at the same time, you are milking people to this extent. There are loopholes. You are stealing, just milking people to steal and increase the public debt burden. So Ugandans are paying, it's double jeopardy on the side of Ugandans. You are being milked, but your children and grandchildren are going to be milked, serving a heavy public debt. And that is what NRM celebrates as economic progress, protecting the gains. What gains? What gains? When you are choking the citizenry. So the traders are comparing the tax percentage of Kenya, which is 16%, and in Zanzibar it's 15%, and Uganda is at 18%. Tanzania has an exception of petroleum goods at 8%, and Kenya. So they are saying they want to go under a uniform VAT regime of 16% in East Africa. But they are also asking that the threshold of VAT businesses that must register for VAT be moved from 150 million to 1 billion. And I think these are reasonable demands. But do we have a government that can listen to the people? I doubt.
Okay, thank you. Godber, let me come to you. I'd also like to know, of course, what how you see this trader strike, and listening to your two colleagues, and what the example Sarah gave, that this economic problem is not just affecting traders downtown, but it is, when you go to the hotel industry, the hospitality industry is equally suffering. Would you say this is a symptom of some fundamental weakness when it comes to our policies, our economic policies, especially when it comes to taxes and that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, let me say that, this kind of conversation on Citizen Chat Show is the conversation that I would want to discuss actually with simple minds. Big minds, philosophy does not explain our conditions. So you need to see what's happening even around us, because we are now talking about traders. I think that if all Ugandans had a mechanism, they were organized, they would all be on strike. The teachers would be on strike.
Maybe they were ahead of us.
Yeah, the teachers would be striking. The citizens who go to hospitals, they would be striking. The government people, they would be striking. These public servants, you see, they are almost facing the same problems, because Sarah just explained those who work within the NGO sector, but even those in government, they face the same conditions. So the traders are able to express their opinions, their feelings, or their frustration, because they are a little bit more organized. They have this organized space. The second point for me would be, like now, Sarah actually, you hit very hard on the Ministry of Trade. So when you understand the architecture of government, you actually realize that these traders almost have very limited interface with the Ministry of Trade. So they go there when there is a problem. So you remember that this is the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Cooperatives. Now, I engage with the Ministry of Trade like I do with many other government agencies. You find they are doing some incredible work at the policy level, which ministries are supposed to do. So I know that, for example, in Ministry of Trade, the last assignment I did with them was writing the trade, cotton, textiles, and apparel strategy. We were basically trying to see how do you revamp Uganda's cotton, textiles, and apparel industry. And, very clearly defined programs on what needs to be done and how you actually get this into the marketplace. So, and then you get to a point where you are completing the strategy, and these ministry people are like, this thing is now very good. We put in a lot of energy, by a lot of time. Then they tell you, but the problem now is that there's a problem of implementation. So in other words, from there, they cannot link to the traders.
And what's causing that gap? How do you explain that gap?
So that's what I've sold. In Uganda right now, we have almost a complete malfunction of government.
No, but ideally, who is supposed to reach out to the other? Shouldn't there be some kind of relationship where it should not be crisis-driven for the two entities to engage?
No, but you see, Judith, the point is that when you have what we call, I like the senior citizen, Olarotun, is the one who actually gave me the term of what we're experiencing in Uganda. He calls it comprehensive brokenness. Yeah? You're dealing with comprehensive brokenness. So you have different pieces, but everywhere you try to touch, you touch something, but it cannot connect to the other. So, and that's what you are dealing with. So that the things we are describing, these foreigners who are doing hawking, the agency that admits them is immigration. Ministry of Trade probably has no way of dealing with immigration. So you have to be dealing with immigration. And when there is a problem, how do you resolve it? I can tell you, I was listening to the speeches by this lady Nabanja, talking to traders. Excuse me, this is an activist talking to traders. I don't know if you guys listened to the conversation, but are there any issues of a policy nature that she could articulate and say, as government, we are going to do 1, 2, 3, and you go away with the clarity of what government is going to do? Because this government, when it wants not to do anything, normally they say, we are going to have another meeting. Or they will even put a committee. There's no way you can have a meeting where the traders meet with the president, and then 6 months, 1 year down the road, you are still striking, or you are still protesting. Because a president, that's what I keep on thinking. A president is a president, you people. So if traders have gone on protesting for almost the same things like Sarah and Robert have explained, man, if there is another protest that brings the same things, whoever is responsible, you are fired. There is no way. Me as a president, I keep on meeting with this one and this one and this one. That does not work. So we are dealing with the traders are only a symptom. And maybe that's what they do not understand. They are more victims of the brokenness. So in other words, each one of us, each of the groups of Ugandans, we are in the same category. Incidentally, so when the traders talk, they say, for us, we are not political. That's part of the problem. How can traders not be political? Traders maybe you can say they are not partisan. But trading, this is business. You are inherently political because you are dealing with the structure of power. So the reason the traders go on protesting, and then immediately the president says, I'm going to meet them, or the prime minister says, I'm going to meet them, is because for these guys, for them, they are dealing with the power. For you traders, you think you are dealing with ifris. These guys are dealing with the power. Yeah? It has never happened in this country that protesters are arrested And they go to meet, then the traders are going to meet with the prime minister. And they say, we are not meeting until our people are brought back. And the guys are driven back from prison and brought to court, and they are given bail. It has never happened. So the guy, this Nabanja woman, and whoever is giving her instructions is dealing with the power. And the traders need to be able to understand that. And we all need to understand it. So, in other words, in the structure, the way the discussions you've had going on, there is no resolution of the things that traders are complaining with. I can bet. Yeah,
including street investors who are street hawkers.
Oh yeah, you wait. In fact, if possible, they can even try to remove them before the elections, before the voting. After the voting, they will be back. Remember, if you followed the stories, we've just accepted Palestinian refugees under partnership with the US. So the policy of these guys, bringing these guys in here, is a policy of this government. They have failed, I think, for all intents and purposes, they have failed to figure out a policy on how to deal with them, on which areas you can participate. Because you see, even if I think there was clarity on where these guys can participate in the economy and not, when you have the level of lawlessness, the breakdown in law and order, the weakening of the institutions of state, these guys will still go and do the things that are prohibited to do, and you. So in short, you are dealing with it's a dysfunction. You are dealing with a dysfunction. That dysfunction, by the way, starts from the top, from the president, going down to all these people you see. Because I see it clearly. You can almost do a pyramid of where the brokenness has started from. So you can do the elections, you can do, and let me put it there. I think that President Museveni, I think he wants to do something good. He wants to achieve certain things. But as I've already said, the problem with him is that the things that he needs to do to get this country back on a trajectory of transformation, they are inconsistent with his regime survival objectives. In other words, you can't do the two at the same time. That is really the crisis that he faces. So, and you know, when that happens, you are not dealing with the kitchen table politics of the traders, then you actually hide in philosophy. So the NRM people will tell you our agenda is democracy. Of course, everybody's agenda is democracy. Did the NRM create democracy? Is patriotism. Of course, everybody is patriotic. We are all patriotic. So you can't. So you have a group that says, for us, our principle is patriotism. So the rest of us are what?
Enemies of the state.
So they will tell you that our agenda is socio-economic transformation. And the bad thing for us is that even Robert, even the professors, they take this as it is. So you'll find Godber in class teaching the people. One of the principles of NRM is socio-economic transformation. So what about the rest? How do you get an English word and make it your principle, and then you say you own it? So the point I'm making is that that you have where we are now, we have achieved a certain level of dysfunction. That dysfunction runs from the presidency. I think, let me put it this way, that you had the president, that clip has gone viral where the president says the system is dead. And that is the real problem. The only difference is that when we have said it, because we have said it like for the last 10 years, the system is dead. When we say it, they say you are opposition.
You're a foreign agent.
You are a foreign agent. Now, all of a sudden, the system dies and it comes into his state house. The president, a letter to reach you someone has to pay. But again, if you understand the dysfunction is that when you are a president, people, I don't know, I think the presidency is, that's where we started from. It has been so downgraded, man. If I was the president and I got information, the president is a consumer of intelligence, including raw intelligence, and I am the president, and I get to know that people sell a transmission of letters, that place would be turned upside down. Now, the President Museveni goes in public and starts complaining as if now he wants us to help him. We can't help him, unfortunately, because we don't have the instrument. We would want to help him, but we don't have the instruments, and therefore, so these traders, the strike. I have bad news for the traders. The traders, they need to understand that where they are and the things they are dealing with are political things, and they have to be able to engage politically to be able to save their businesses.
Okay.
I don't think that there is any other way.
Thank you. So Joseph and Major, our production crew says it's time for us to take a break, but when we return, I'll give you the mic first, but also I'd like to hear your thoughts about what or where you think the failures or weaknesses really are when it comes to what we are seeing at the moment in terms of the economic structures and systems and policies and so on. That's after the break.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Watching the Citizens Chat show. We're continuing with our discussion on the traders' strike and also the NRM Central Executive Committee elections. Before we went into the break, Joseph and Major, I was coming to you. Your colleagues have given their insights and views regarding the strike by the traders that we saw this week. Godber says this is a symptomatic of a comprehensive comprehensive brokenness. I want to know your thinking about the weaknesses of or the failures that we are seeing in our governance systems in terms of the economy, but also if you could let us know how we can move forward as a country to avoid going into cycles of these kinds of protests.
You know, I listened to my three colleagues, and by the time Godber was midway, I had elected to give my time to Comrade Awich.
Thank you.
In part, but I will still give half my time, in part because they were thorough, but in part because some of these very thorough submissions are quite clearly so obvious that in normal times, like Godber was being rather emphatic earlier, should be a matter of common sense for all our citizens. So the issue then is basically, what do we do? As we understand it, the quote from Olara Tunu, comprehensive brokenness, is a definition in totality about the state of our country today. And again, in various ways, my three colleagues referring. One thing is clear. There is dearth of leadership, and we've said it in this program again and again and again, dearth of leadership. And then as long as you have a nation, a state in which there is no leadership, there's no direction, there is no system, there is no department, there's no organization, there is no element of any public institution that functions, then Ugandans are quite clearly on their own. One of the saddest things, I think Sarah referred, not only is Chikubu business, the traditional thing that for me, from the time I entered Kampala from post-high school, you know that that is the heart of the average Ugandan citizen. Is it Mwana? The average Ugandan. Muntu Wansi. It's
Like me.
it's Chikubu kind of stuff. But the context I'm referring is that before Alhaji Sebagala became the him, the conversation about the average Ugandan who completes primary 7 and has issues, completes senior 4 has issues. Possibly not those days, because those days graduates were rarely into business, but completes possibly senior 6 has a little bit of mini struggle, but is innovative enough. They go there. And that is where they go to survive, and there is a guarantee for survival. It's a bit of hard work, it's a bit of
Street smartness.
kind of stuff, but in an ordinary Ugandan way, but they're the untouchable citizens of the Republic of Uganda. And in fact, for them, they guard the psyche of everything that goes on in Kampala, in the Republic of Uganda. They had a view. Interestingly and ironically for Comrade Museveni, that is actually even the bit that they taunted us as UPC, as a government, when these guys were in the bush. Chikubu was the home of rumors. Chikubu was the sole home of intelligence. And Chikubu, that place, and Chikubu in the broadest sense of we know, was the heart where you play the national psyche of the average Kampala citizen. Not necessarily even in the posh other end of Kampala Road, where the insurances and bankers would be, but that place. Now, these are the most average representative Ugandan citizens. Now, to get a regime that comes from the bush that granted, once in a while those days they would throw their grenades and people would run away to taunt, so that, and throw it like that. And then the Chikubu citizens, the Kampala citizens get very angry with the Boti government, things have fallen off and things like that. And to be that regime that is supposedly and allegedly pro-people, and a regime that, of course they claim they are ideological, whatever that is, you know, but broadly, historically, they presented themselves as left-leaning like us. And so therefore, ideally, the ordinary person's group, you can't focus on the most vulnerable of Kampala in terms of business, right? So if there is any part that these guys ought to have protected, were those Chikubu traders and their interest in the broadest sense. And I say traders because it's a multiple, it's basically the nearest most representative. But as it happens, Godber's told it's happened again. It's happened before. Actually, I think we've discussed this thing with you actually as a host here. In the last maybe 18 months, we've discussed something along that. So Godber is right. It might happen again. What struck me, Sarah, I enjoyed civics. I enjoyed civics in primary school. The other day I was doing the television network program for a South African network, and I was compelled again to talk about the Sharpeville 6 of the 1976, and how focused and committed we were about these liberation struggles things, and how criminal we viewed apartheid breaking those young pupils in Kampala, in South Africa. But side by side with that, we knew governments here, we knew every ministry, and we knew every minister up to and include Idi Amin's time. As Sarah was saying, I genuinely did not know who the people in charge of trade. Mbadi, even Mbadi, I knew Mbadi had gone to some ministry. I actually genuinely didn't know where he was. So
Yeah,
I had to Google.
So who's ruling who? and for us having a conversation and now manifesto commitments about trying to preserve the gains, you can't preserve the gains without economics at the heart of it. But look, elections are coming.
Those guys have gains, by the way. It is you and I who do. So they have to preserve their gains.
Bro, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know,
Seriously, they have.
We are into politics, meaning campaigns. It's a terrible thing. these are matters that traditionally would be campaign matters, I'm cutting it short, campaign matters, where political parties and organizations, and I will, as UPC, and we will, seek to be able to try and reclaim that space going forward. A conversation about taxation, a conversation about trade, a conversation about interest rates, a conversation about exports, a conversation about imports, a conversation about deficits. If we just put just merely those together, we will be discussing what happens and who is in Chikubu. And political leaders, when you discuss this, particularly governing political party, there is no reason why the Minister for Trade does not become the face of this conversation and say, look, we're discussing IFRIs, we're discussing taxation, we're discussing strikes, we're discussing teachers' salaries. This is our position, this is our view on it. The issues about Chinese and Eritreans in the streets. Yesterday I had a television interview somewhere very near, I think Sarah passed it. I think Godber, you might have passed seeing me somewhere there. And part of the conversation was the television presenter did two things. One, the guy in his energy had just lost his sister in the morning. Amazingly had lost his sister in the morning giving birth, childbirth at Entebbe yesterday. But this guy was courageous enough because of his work, and he told me that, Mr. Ochieno, I have to come because this is the thing, and I've got the slot with this television network, and I still have to go back. I couldn't believe it. But that is also the man who was telling me, when I was discussing with him a part of the program, about the fact that a certain part of Kampala is now part of an occupied territory, because I was trying to discuss the identity question in Uganda and some of the history in terms of our dynamics. And he liked a bit of it and said he's going to interview him again. So he talks about now the migration question of parts of Bunga, parts of those parts of Kampala, where three different kind of nationalities have now literally taken over.
Kabalagala, Bunga,
Kansanga, the whole of it.
Kansanga.
You guys, the national boil that we are building under NRM in the name of and gain is huge. So when I consider that, and I see that those are those guys and the wooden house, and the man tells me that, oh, by the way, do you know what ordinary Ugandans do in those places? Selling chapati. But all the houses and that, but Ugandans are selling chapati. And you come to Chikubu, and that's where you want to get your big money. And one of the things that you guys did not talk about is that while you are taunting these poor people, common sense economics, a container, by the way, even if it were true, that you basically want to get all the money, it's common sense. Say that a whole container, you will pay this tax. Let the people are very clever people. They know we were four.
Yeah.
You've charged. We paid 100 million shillings for this, for a container. We divided amongst the 3-4 of us. Yeah. Leave it for them. You get your bit common sense.
Yeah.
The guys who are building these arcades in the outskirts of Nigeria on my way to breaking my car, on my way to Chira, we know many of those people are building these things and they're not paying anything. There is a particular one somewhere near Chira where the other day a doctor friend of mine is looking for a place for her to do her practice. And she's gone to 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Why? Because they're frauds. They're frauds, layers of ownership.
Yeah.
Mr. Museveni, this is happening here at Kampala. The Chikubu people are the last people to be focused on as far as this is concerned. So taxation, by the way, progressive left political parties, Comrade Awich, you like to hear this. We are believers in taxes. We are the left politics, we believe in big government, so we believe that everybody should pay their fair taxes. Yeah. But we believe that it should be progressive. We believe that the people who earn more pay more, people who earn less pay less relatively. And as Sarah talks about, there should be tax threshold. In any case, post-COVID. By that, I wrote a piece around COVID time, pushing for the fact that actually there should be tax exemptions. And there's a letter that Museveni responded to. I'm not sure that not necessarily responding to me. Came and gave a very big argument. Actually, one of his to say that why Ugandan traders and why Ugandans are not getting subsidies. It was not only Uganda that did not get it. Again, another common sense thing that should really not come from somebody from the left of politics, the general. So I think it is impunity. This guy is able to grab, and Uganda is not able to respond to. And so that's why it's important what Godber says, that I hope that the manner in which these traders came together and stuck together and stuck to Nabanja and demanded for their lot to be brought back, maybe we should advise them pro bono and find a way in which we do it such that they're able to build their gains so that so that they never lose that space. It is only when that happens, and that this becomes now an election issue, Comrade Awich, in terms of the question of taxes, going through as part of a campaign, at least from the urban side, because you might say this and then say that, well, the people in Wayolera market in Tororo may not necessarily appreciate this thing. You guys, we need to make these things national issues, part of our national campaign. And maybe if we did that, government will respond. Because as I said, Judith, there's no reason why a sensible government, if it's a genuinely government that represents the interests of the ordinary citizen of this country, there's no reason why they should be treating those guys the way they're doing it, knowing very well that they're giving free money to Pineti, free money to Rocco, and free money to some dubious individual woman in Atiak.
Thank you. Major, your colleagues have certainly submitted a lot, and I know you've been taking a note, and I want your response. But at the start of this discussion, you said, when we were talking about the sheer number of people who had turned up to pick presidential nomination forms, you talked about NRM has ushered in peace and democracy that we are all enjoying. And that's an interesting thing. But on that note, I want to ask you, the government's use of arrests and charges during a protest by traders, yes, they were released after they mounted pressure. But what does it say about the government's broader commitment to upholding these democratic principles and having an open society?
Well, thank you so much. It is true, my friends have said so much, and I had the chance to take a few notes. I can't note everything, but of course, for me as a disciplined NRM cadre, I can't interfere because it is in our philosophy to listen to other opinions.
And I'll request everyone not to also interfere when you're making your submission.
So. I hope my Buerantare won't jump.
That jumping is always insolent.
Now, I first want to say, Judith, that I take this discussion seriously, and that is why I left my Central Executive Committee meeting. This is the top organ of the party. It is meeting in State House. And I left so that I can be with you. I left, of course, because I value this discussion, but also I left knowing that the comrades who are there will competently handle what is there. So my single absence wouldn't affect the proceedings in whether content or procedural. So I'm here because I value being with you people. The other thing I want to say on the subject matter of the traders is that the first two colleagues, even the third, Godber, went into the issues that are at hand with the traders. And when I listen to the issues, they are really facts and procedural aspects. As we all know, we live in a dynamic society. Even things that you think you have proposed or done it well, time proves otherwise. Including pieces of legislation. When you are passing a law, you think that not only have you made it airtight, watertight, but you have made it airtight. But practice will prove to you cracks, and that is why there's need for amendment. So the facts, the issues that are being raised are factual matters and procedural matters. And I think it is being dealt with properly by the fact that the Prime Minister met them and something should be done. And therefore that brings me to the point of what is the link between the government and the traders, because it has been raised as well. I will also handle this with issues that you raise, protest, because I take it as complaint mechanism. Now, ideally, we are in a liberal economy, private economy. So when you're in a private economy, it's a laissez-faire economy. So the traders are presumed to be doing their things on their own. But as we know, a state, the country doesn't live in a void, in a vacuum. So by the state, first of all, passing laws, that automatically brings you in touch with the government, and the traders with the government. But also traders being in their associations, which government guarantees, is also one forum by which they can get in touch with the government. So even if it is a free private economy, there can be both unseen and seen link with the government. And therefore traders are expected to have complaint mechanism, including protest. Now, as government or as the ruling party, we really believe in demonstration, a protest as an expression of freedom. Now, we have had challenges of the state management of this, or protection of these rights, to the extent that one time the Prime Minister called members of the National Security Council to ask the Attorney General to take them through this law, because the complaint then was the legal provisions prohibiting or protecting demonstration. The complaint was that it's being used unjustifiably. So government, in its attempt to educate the members of the National Security Council, made the Attorney General take them through. So if we still have challenges in the enforceability or in the protection of demonstration rights, because you hear some people saying get permission from police, other people cite court rulings saying no, you don't need to, and then the state argues that if you protest, you are going to violate rights of other road users, you are going to destroy people's property. So it is in the management, but in ideal, protection of the right to demonstrate is enshrined and should be encouraged. And for us as a party, we shall keep on telling the enforcers or the protectors, and that's why we still call on, we shall still ask what is the effect of the Prime Minister calling the members of the Security Council and making the Attorney General explain to them what did they explain and what did they understand. So the rights to air out your views is enshrined and protected. Now, in touch with, contact with the traders under this liberal economy, of course we have the ministers responsible, who are the political aides, and we have the senior citizen Mwebesa. You said this cannot be true. He went to the great school, and for the avoidance of doubt, Mwebesa is both an old boy of Matia Kasaija, same class, and also alumni of Nairobi University. They did the same year in military school and went to Nairobi University for BCom. And guess who they meet in Nairobi, same class? Cecilia Gwal. So the three are graduates. The three are graduates of BCom, but having been together. So, but I have trust in the old boys because I've been chairman for 2 terms and I'm privy to their record. He's a very brilliant chap, right from school and up to the university. He's matured, but he brings in his maturity a wealth of experience. He's mature. A wealth of experience into this.
Yeah, but Major, sorry to interrupt, but the country is not seeing this brilliance in, we would like to have this brilliance translated in addressing real life situations.
Yeah, and now even Mbadi, I will round them up together. Mbadi is a very accomplished general, and maybe you civilians don't see the intricacy inside there, but it's so intense in the military training and courses that we believe a general put in any situation, whether ambassador or minister general, will be able to perform. But if there is a disconnect between the wealth of experience and the competence of the general, then that is something which should be discussed. Because even here appearing, we have had issues with party or state officials not appearing for the media, and we have always asked them. Prime Minister had complained at one time that you guys don't go, and at times they complain to the media houses that you are hosting opposition voices. Said, but the opposition have on record that they invited you, your people, and you didn't come up, and that is part of the reason why I never come. Now, if there's a disconnect, as you say, Mbadi is my friend, I'll ask him personally, but I'm sure even it will be seen in government if it is true that there's a disconnect, and that is why they jumped the line ministers to the prime minister. But also depends on the traders. The traders also have their own views of valuing or undervaluing people, and you may find that while the ministers are trying to reach out to them, to meet them, they said, go away, for us we want so and so. So we are here busy blaming the ministers when the traders themselves are actually wrong. They are not following procedures. So without facts,
that's also a symptom of a bigger problem that we're having.
So without facts, we can't now judge yet. But ministers are expected to do their role. The other thing is the aspect of the brokenness, the Laro Tuno comprehensive. You see, I am seeing that only coming under thematic concern or a thematic idea of a thinking that you want Museveni out. No. And we have said that you can have Museveni and NRM out, but power belongs to the people. Why I'm saying so is that the topic here is traders and SEC election, okay? Now we are saying for the traders, it is linked to brokenness in the system. Yes. I can assure you to demonstrate that that is a ill thinking and a thematic embedded in some people. If some of us were invited this evening to Radio 1, and the topic there is not traders and SEC, the topic there is Malakwang, these greens in Acholi. The same people will still raise the brokenness of government. Even when the topic there is Malakwang, which should be how nutritious is Malakwang? How can you eat Malakwang? Is it with potatoes or with cassava? Should you drink water after eating? I can assure you, colleagues, now some people who are hearing say, are they recorded? Is it the same thing they said in this? They're saying that even when topics are different. So the thematic concept of brokenness are the inherent person of people who think Museveni and NRM should be out. But if that is the topic, then put the topic to us. Should NRM Museveni be out? We discuss it. But it is hidden under every thematic idea that comes. Here the topic is traders and SEC. The brokenness has come out. Call them to Radio 1 for Malakwang. The same brokenness. What is it? So there is nothing about brokenness. The government is running, there's efficiency, there's capability, and we shall periodically consult the people to say, are we that broken? Will you vote us when we are broken or not? They will vote us.
There is a contradiction in what you're saying.
What?
You're complaining about the comprehensive brokenness, but in your in your submission you were saying sometimes there could be a problem with the traders in choosing who in government they would want to talk to. But isn't that also a reflection of that comprehensive brokenness? Because if you have systems working, then the traders should not ideally be saying we prefer so and so.
Let me tell you
partly
why it is.
Should not be
partly why. Let me tell you why it is. Some people, either because of the interface you have with the top leaders, you're going to meet some ministers where resource envelope may permit you taking soda or tea. Some capacity when you meet the prime minister, some instances maybe depending on the operation funds of the PM, he gives you transport money.
Really?
At some level, even with the president, could be something different. So it has influenced the choice of who you meet.
And that
It
is the
has
brokenness.
No,
That is
no,
the
no. It has,
brokenness.
you see, let me tell you. See now the discipline. No,
let him
for
finish.
the
Let him
discipline.
No, he's not.
You see, what could be the definition of brokenness? The definition of brokenness, in the views of the listener and the viewers, is that even that primarily, when we are talking of the three arms of government, the legislature, judiciary, and it is non-functional. The idea would actually be in the brokenness, like even when you went to a ministry, you not even see a sweeper, you not even see a minister. The brokenness would be like,
systemic brokenness
it's
is what
such
we're
a
meaning.
fake and a wrong description. It's like anarchy. It's like a statelessness. Okay? It's like, no, that's not true. There's no statelessness. There's no anarchy. Nothing is broken. Arms of government are working. Everything is working. Now, the import of such words, is what I've told you, that thinkers of that, the architects of that, are actually saying Museveni should get out. And that's why I'm saying they will put, whether the topic here is SEC and traders, it will be the same thing they will say on Radio 1, whether it is Malakwang and Sim.
Okay, Major, I want you to
There's
wind up.
no brokenness.
I want us to wind up, so we move to SEC now and see if there's also systemic, comprehensive brokenness there or not.
Statement,
Yeah,
that
yes,
you
very
see,
quickly.
for us who have kids in these urban centers, we have been struggling with our children to eat food. To eat. You find children, they are being told, I will buy you this, I will buy you this, to eat food. Until I told my people I stay with at home that eating is a function of hunger. If somebody is hungry, they will eat. These children have abundance of food at home. They are taking yogurt, they are taking this, they are taking that. So by the time it is lunch time, they are satisfied. Yeah. For us who grew up in the village, they would put food on the table somewhere, and they even have to mark you. They say, please don't start fast. To prepare, everybody has washed their hands. Then they say, 1, 2, 3, begin. 10 minutes, the food is swept and finished, and everybody walks away and goes away.
They call it smashing.
And you go away. So when you see traders reacting the way they are reacting, and they say, can't you meet so and so, and they say no, there is stimulus. There is stimulus. If you have looked at the Newton's law of motion, every force is determined by another force. So I don't think that traders would have striked if the Ministry of Trade was doing their things very well, liaising with the Ministry of Finance and liaising with the URA who are collecting money. So if you don't understand that there is a system problem there, then maybe you are telling us that we should be reduced on our thinking capacity.
System problem is different from brokenness.
Yeah, what breaks is the system.
Brokenness means statelessness, anarchy.
No, that's what you are thinking. When the system breaks, it means that the function of the system is not running in the same direction. So that when the legislation is done, the minister comes up with is the one who is supposed to come up with the policy. It is done by the parliament and finance, and then URA implements. The traders would not be fighting if the system was very, very clear. You put a gear, if you put one, it engages, and the vehicle changes the running speed. Now, if you engage a gear, you are putting in forward gear 1 and the vehicle is going backward. So how should we say that is how is that? So there is
because the vehicle has gears, so it is okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But the vehicle has gears. It has even the driver. It has fuel. But
we have 30 minutes to go.
I
Yes,
just
very
want to
quickly.
explain this brokenness thing, and I have to try and avoid saying Awich.
Yes.
Because when I talked about Awich, I was actually talking about the many Awiches in this country. I was not referring to just the Awich, our Awich here, but because there are many of them. But essentially, the brokenness you need to understand is it's a very, very, it's a pocketbook issue. It's It's a very basic issue. The other day, I attended a burial in Shema. And so one of my colleagues had lost her sister. And, you know, the people who were giving speeches gave their account of what was happening, of their experiences at Mbarara National Referral Hospital. And you know, you listen to these accounts and you feel like breaking down, because you realize actually this person could actually have survived. Yeah. But everything just didn't work because the system is broken. And you know, if it's the healthcare system, we can all agree that maybe we have limitations in terms of money as a country. But if you have a government that knows how to do business, you would be able to say the referral hospital in Mbarara is working. The one maybe in Guru is working. The one in Mbare is working. So even when these other pieces are broken, if the person struggles and reaches Mbarara, then he has the chances of survival. But when you find all this is broken, then that's what it means by comprehensive brokenness. So you can put it in every sector of government. I'll end with this education thing, and the problem is that we've been so scattered that these are no longer coming up as conversations. So you have the education ministry. They introduce a new curriculum. They are supposed to transition it to A level. And now they say we are not prepared to.
After 4 years.
After 4 years, we can't introduce it in A levels. Now the guys who have finished S4, they have to go back to the old system. And you ask yourself, say, this is a group of people that have been in charge for 40 years.
In other words, Godber, you're saying you cannot maybe see or touch this brokenness, but you can certainly feel the substance of it. You cannot touch the form of it, but the substance
and for the comfort of many of my Awich friends, you see, for many of us who think we are patriotic, because I don't think those guys are patriotic actually. Let me also make that assertion. Those of us who feel for this country, my view is, my point is here is that Joseph Ochieno being president of Uganda today and running this country the way Museveni is running it, I would be on your neck. Sarah Bireete running Uganda today, and it's running the way it is running.
Running it down.
Running it down.
Please
You'll be in trouble. So
for me, I have never thought about
it. So my point is that the guys who think they love Museveni more than us, yes, they need to have some comfort that this is not about Museveni. No. This is about our country, yeah, and we are all stakeholders in this country. We want to run it better. We want those traders to feel dignified. I don't want traders are saying we are oppressed, we are aggrieved, and we are closing our shops. Instead of calling them and talking to them, the first thing you do is to send the police and the army to beat them up, to arrest them. Excuse me, that we have as a people, we have to find a way of saying no. Yeah. And that is a corrective. Because people have also asked me, what is the solution? I've said, ours, for this NRM group, ours now has to be another form of resistance. We need another revolution. The NRM revolution is finished. Those who did the revolution, they are even eating each other, fighting each other in their elections, killing each other. You have a primary election where Ugandans die, and you tell me you are not broken. I think that now we need this, what I call collective citizens resistance. For us as citizens, whether you are traders, whether you are teachers, whether you are workers, whether you are farmers, we have to be able to say, no, we deserve a better country than what we have. And that for me is the bottom line.
Sarah, let me come to you and then we move to the SEC.
I just want to add a few things. One is that the president himself said the systems are dead. And I'm sure he has, and he justified why he thought so.
Yeah, he did.
So, but I want to add just one small thing. You know, we just lost America recruit the other day. But two things, may she rest in peace, two things happened during the vigil. One was Minister Mhanga, who explained how
Minister
Mhanga, Margaret, how she had to fly from Fort Portal because all roads are broken. You know, we have no roads. Everybody laughed.
Yeah.
Was that true?
Yes.
Sorry, was that
Minister,
was that
yes.
true? I read it, so because I want to make sure
You
that I'm
read
not
it?
using the word broken wrongly. Sorry.
You can even cut it down. It's online. You cut it down. You know, I had to fly to Kajansi, then go away. No, she was explaining how she missed saying farewell to her friend, and she was in pain.
Yeah.
But that is the life they are in because of brokenness. But because for them, they come in from a privileged aspect of the brokenness, they can fly. She flies home, she flies back to work. Some of us, we can't even walk to work. You will be intercepted.
Yes.
So she's experiencing brokenness, but with a privileged platform.
Yes.
Then everybody at that same vigil was apologizing for having delayed to take Mary to Nairobi. And that's why she died. Meaning that all hospitals here are what? Broken.
Yeah, broken, yeah.
If you must save a privileged person,
You have to
fly them to Nairobi. And this is just our neighboring country. So what other brokenness do we want? Maybe she wouldn't have died, you know, I delayed to come, we would have thrown her maybe a week before. Meaning that a solution arises out of Uganda. So what kind of brokenness do we need?
Thank you.
No comment.
Okay, so let's move on to the NRM Central Executive Committee. And I think I will give Major the platform to explain to us what is happening. But I think our discussion will definitely center around the internal party dynamics.
Not the brokenness.
I think that aspect, we shall see if that also comes up in this discussion. Because the NRM is holding internal elections for the SEC, which is a process that began with nominations in late June and early July. And the key contest has been for the position of National Vice Chairperson female, which pits two of Uganda's most prominent female politicians against each other. That's the former Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, and the current Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among. And this is particularly a significant race, as it involves two women who have reached the highest echelons of legislative leadership, and the outcome to most people will likely signal a shift in the balance of influence within the party. So Major, I want to come to you. Of course, you're not limiting your discussion to the two ladies. I want you to give us the broader picture or overview of SEC and what is going on there, and then I think I'll allow your colleagues to probably ask you questions, and then you will respond.
Well, it's broad, but I'll try to summarize. First of all, for our viewers, what is this SEC? SEC is Central Executive Committee of the party, NRM. NRM has a constitution, and it is registered and deposited where it is supposed to be deposited as proof of registration of a political organization or political party. I think I will not go into the detail for that. Now, we have structures in NRM, what we call organs. Our organ starts from the grassroots, what we call a village, a branch, and then a parish, and then a sub-county, and then a district, and then the national, which we have an organ called the National Conference. And then there the chair is the national chairman. But we also have district, as I have mentioned, at all this level. Now, at the national, we also have what we call the National Executive Council, the NEC, with its membership clearly stated in the Constitution. It is a big body with also non-powers. But at the top, we have what is called now the SEC, that is in issue. The SEC is a small body, though, comprises the chair, which at the moment President Museveni, then the Vice Kigongo, and then the first vice female, And then we have regional, like in the case of Leto Lanyao was for the north. And by the way, we have lost 2 so far. May their soul rest in peace. We have the Karamoja one died, the northern one died. Then we have the rest remaining. Kampala is given its uniqueness as a region, with currently Sinkatongole, the Muindi Ugandan. The league members are also league heads or chair of leagues are also members of SEC. That's how the Lydia Wanyoto come in, because he heads Women League, Gaddafi heads the youth, Tom Butime heads the historical league, and so on and so forth. So they form that. The last category of the second last, the party power, party constitution gives the president to nominate 5 members. And in these 5, I think I know Dr. Rakana Rubunda, Dr. Kionga, Otafire, there's a lady from Yumbe, and then Yuha. So those are 5 members nominated by the president to be on NEC. And lastly, you have Secretariat members who by constitution are SEC members, also Secretary General, Deputy, and the National Treasurer and Deputy. Then the technical members of SEC like us are the directors who sit there. Now,
as observers?
No, we participate.
You have voting rights?
I think constitutionally would be the other category which would vote. Okay. I think I have not seen it because we have not witnessed it, but as a lawyer, my interpretation would be that those are the ones who should vote. But of course, we sit there. Now, the issues that has come up for SEC are mainly 2. 1, why the urge, and yet they are not paid money? Why are people spending a lot of money? Why are people killing each other? Because if you take the case of entrepreneurship, which I think the case is where some members taken people out of the country, it is not secret anymore. It is known that Basaja Walava took people to Nairobi. And they are there, the videos are showing, they're talking, they're saying everything. And there are about 500 of them. And the 500, and total voters are 800. So that's why the issue is, what is it in this thing that you are not paid salary but you spend that money?
They'll fly into the conference.
3 key letters, 3 key characters. For example, if we are still on the example of entrepreneur, you have Kakuru, who was based in South Africa. I think they started, the information we have proven and notice that was giving $100 per person. And then others came and were giving 2 million. And then the third one was giving 3 million.
Entrepreneurs?
Yes. Meaning you fly to Gulu, because the known members of the league are known per district, the constitution states. So if you fly to Kidgum now and you wanted members of the Kidgum entrepreneur, you can assemble them in a hotel. You can assemble them in a hotel.
The language in NRM is now flying.
So,
this bad roads are
okay, you can drive there. You can drive there. So the issue here is, I think is, why is it that? My answer to many people who have asked me is that ideally it is the love of the party. Because how else do you explain that somebody is campaigning for a position where there's no fiduciary, there's no cash money for it? I mean, it's not paid. But how much would it cost to take 500 people to Nairobi for a tour and sleep in good hotels? And so it is the love of the party.
Expense.
The other thing is, what has been coming seriously also is the, as you said, the contestation of the former and the current speakers. They want the same position, and it has visually come that they really want it. But it's their democratic rights, and they're free to do it. Now, as I said, I'm from SEC now. First of all, by getting many interest persons, about over 180. I left them there. I even greeted them before I left.
Or you were meeting those who are interested?
Those who are now, those who are picked nomination for, the candidates, we're meeting them one by one. They're talking to us. I left when some have already talked. For example, I left when Turner had talked.
Sunday.
I left when there's another youth who had come, who had talked, and others. So, we are happy that the number of people who can express their interest in this non-paying position are many. Doctor, that shows the party is popular. The party is loved to the extent that people want to participate for a no money thing.
And kill each other.
So, for a no money thing. Now, what we should do, what we pray we do is, we have recruited people in the party. The number has grown. When you solve a problem, like you have solved a problem of increasing the membership, making people love the party, you have solved the problem. I mean, what you have gotten a solution by recruiting. What problem does it come? I've always used the illustration that to every problem that we solve, we create a solution. You want to industrialize, you struggle to build factories. Sooner or later, you have a problem of pollution in the air. So for us, the problem was how to recruit and make the party how to recruit members and make the party popular. We have succeeded. Now we have a problem of management of internal democracy. So, to every problem there's a solution. Let's see how we work out in our head, and we hope that it won't, we should take it as a normal internal contradictions or challenge to our methods of internal democracy, and it will be resolved. And I pretty believe that it will be resolved. If it is not resolved tonight, it will be resolved tomorrow. Now, the ones which are approved there, remember they have to be set to NEC for election. Even today, could just hear them and push all of them to the voters. Okay? One idea is that we have had you, except on exceptional situation where you really know one does not, because the constitution gives SEC power to approve. SEC can say, no, we are not allowing your candidature. That is in the constitution. But ideally, if these are normal members of the parties, the SEC would hear them and push them to the voters, which is the NEC. Or if they are voted by national conference, which is the national conference. But today SEC is hearing everybody, including President Museveni. It's also being approved by the... Now the procedure is when they're hearing your case, you go out. For example, when they're hearing the case of President Museveni, Kyambongo chairs, and it is discussed freely, and we agree to have him as a candidate or not. Now, when it comes, SEC has the power to do it. You can even say we have received no nomination, we still call back fresh nominations.
So, Major,
I need the same thing. So it will also come to Aji Kyambongo. When it is discussing Kyambongo, it's also requested. Well, you have not known the people who have picked the form, but I'm just saying the principle. Let me not use names. Let me not use names. The principle is when they're discussing you, you step out, so that SEC can discuss freely, and when a resolution is reached, you are called back. So that is what is happening. So I ask the public, and I also ask NRM members that give the organ chance to try to manage this internal democracy.
Thank you. So, guys, it is your turn. Major here says NRM is loved so much, that's why people are willing to attach themselves to the party even when there is no financial gain. But we also see people being flown out of the country, 500 people by an individual of a party. We also hear cases of people being given money by people who are seeking positions within SEC. That's what I've picked. Just your thoughts, your reactions.
If I may go first after Awich, and thank you for sharing that detail on SEC and the procedures of internal democracy. I've perused through the NRM party constitution and the functions of SEC. SEC is a structural nervous center of the party, with a function to direct the political dispensation in the country when their party is in power. So, coming from the previous discussion, it would be interesting to score SEC. What direction have they offered for the time NRM has stayed in power? Does SEC discuss the critical challenges of the country? Do they have capacity to offer solution? What is their mandate? And how far or to what extent has SEC fulfilled that mandate? I would really apportion 70% of the brokenness on SEC, because in my view, they have not guided well their party in power. We have had debates where sometimes some members of the NRM party attempt to distance themselves from the crimes of the NRM regime, saying those are the government. No, when you are a ruling party, you are the one running state machinery. So the performance, the good and bad of the government is attributed to you. The few successes, the big challenges that we complain about as citizens are all attributed to you. You will not own the few challenges, successes, and try to distance yourself that now that is government, it's not a party. So in my view, SEC has not helped NRM for the time they've held power. They can do better.
Thank you.
Having said that, just a minute on the rest. So I come from Western Uganda, where you have the president as the chairman, because he's an opposite, coming from Churuhura, and his brother is running for the vice, for the national vice chairman, Western Uganda. So assuming that the internal democracy is healthy, of course we've discussed the challenges of money. Awich has brought it out. Challenges of money, challenges of manipulation, violence, like we saw in the parliamentary primaries, where about 90% of the incumbent MPs NRM lost the flag, and the majority of them, those who still have some money left, are planning to run as independents. So SEC has let down the country on extreme commercialization of politics that has characterized the NRM's hold on power. The president selectively complains about money, because I think for him what disappoints him is that everybody discovered his secret of keeping power, which is bribery and violence. And now they've taken it to the grassroots. Maybe that could be his only disappointment, because otherwise he's the one who introduced money, bribery, to take advantage over his competitors, and where money fails, then violence is deployed. So the likes of General Ashande and others are just only his children in terms of running his conduct. So SEC is now, the race is dominated by this, but also the greed for power. 391 candidates are competing for 17 posts. I think 9 dropped out because there were 300. 17 posts. What does it mean? And I will quote examples from 2 senior deceased members of NRM. I will not mention their names. So one of them, a historical member, told me, I was challenging him from the East, on why do you have to run? And he said, you see, the character of this man of ours, when you don't have a position, you are completely forgotten. Even a DPC cannot pick your call. So you start struggling the way we struggle as citizens. So that's why you see that rush. Yeah. Is relevance, is seeking privilege, because the broken system only serves the privileged. The second example is another senior leader from Western Uganda who even had to travel to another district where President Museveni was appearing. And then he told the master of ceremonies, a public rally, please announce that I'm here and I want to meet the president. Can you imagine the humiliation that these people subject themselves to? Then the MC announced, the Sarah Bireete is here, he would like to see you. I have heard. Yeah, I've heard her. I will call her. And he never did, of course.
Oh, he never did?
So, yes. So the struggle is because when you are not in leadership, you are nothing. So you start struggling like us here on the chat show, like Chikubo traders, and that's what people are running away from.
Dr. Jam.
Yeah, on a normal day, we would leave SEC matters to SEC people. But since we must say something, you just to say a few things. Number one, I want to congratulate NRM and its establishment for carrying on the show of these elections from LC1, where they started from down there, representative at the village, to now SEC and later presidential candidate. I think for people who are looking for information to write their history, they have created some data that will be used by some of our students to write their dissertations, to write their papers, and discuss in the future.
And research topics.
And research topics to work on. For the country Uganda, they have helped it somehow to show its confusion and the unstableness, so much so that now when you go out there, people think Ugandan way of doing things is fake. For that matter, therefore, you look at this SEC thing in 3 ways, and I will just give those 3 ways and I stop. One, for us who have some small cars in Kampala, and therefore those who may not have, it's normally dangerous to board somebody's car when you don't know where they are going. You find somebody and you say, can you give me a lift? And you don't know where they are going. They are bound to take you to very many places. He first says, I was supposed to first go and see a birthday party. So you remain in the vehicle there waiting up to when the party ends. From there he says, but we have a fellowship always in the evening. So whether you are Muslim or not, you may find yourself also in the fellowship because you are still. So by the time you realize that I was supposed not to board this vehicle, you realize that even if I just walked, I would be home. So you look at this thing, people boarded a vehicle, a bus, where they didn't know where it was going. And therefore, I would bet, and I want to bet this afternoon, that if SEC, because power belongs to the people, and SEC is the powerful, they sit down, they look at all the cries of Ugandans, and they say, Mr. President, we love you, but you cannot be alone. So we are saying other people should also pick forms and compete with you. I want to bet tomorrow I will join the NRM. That would mean that I resign my job at the university. I join NRM and I become its cadre to preach this. I would put yellow, even the shoes, yellow. That now President Museveni, we have been discussing here. And all of us have agreed in unison under the chairmanship of Alhaji Moses Chigongo. And we are requesting you that you allow us to encourage other members also to pick nomination forms and you compete. And when you compete, the winner will be the one to be the presidential candidate.
He has competed with
I bet. And that will never happen. Okay. Number 2 is Chigongo. Number 2 is Chigongo. Also to compete with Chigongo? No. A rare thing. So I don't believe that SEC have boarded a vehicle which they don't know where it is going. Lastly, I wouldn't have any problem with the SEC of NRM because I am not concerned. I am not a party member and I am not concerned. The only concern comes when they are spending all this hullabaloo on state resources. For example, today they are holding a meeting.
State House.
In a state house.
They were there
That is our
yesterday.
property.
We are all paying.
They
That
were
is
there
our
yesterday.
property.
Yeah, we are all paying for SEC.
That is our property. Many of them are government officials. They have driven
And the
vehicles
refreshments.
from where, from all over, from. That is why we don't have medicine in the hospital. It is being wasted on these sick members. Look at when they are going to have their meeting in that Kololo. It's a public thing. But they will sit there. They don't need even to ask for permission. They go and sit there. They say, for us, we're in government.
And they broke
When another
everyone.
party asks for that place, they say that place is out of bound. Because it is in the center of the town. We don't want commotion there. So these are things that they need to think about. That when SEC is sitting in the State House, we must see a check from NRM to the public treasury
consolidated fund.
to pay for
Pay
using
for your
our
meetings.
facility
Okay,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the vehicles and so on. So that is why when we see the problems that they are bringing to us, because when you see like that tribunal has been sitting there, I would want to see where did they get the money to facilitate all these people who are coming here. It is very expensive for the state to run politics where you are producing 2 million people to supervise 367,000. Public servants in Uganda are 367 or thereabout, being supervised by 2 million politicians, including SEC members.
Thank you.
I don't think it is value for money.
The crew tells me we have 5 minutes. So can I just request for 10? Okay. Oh, God.
Now, you see, when we were growing up, there used to be an animal. It was called waringa. Yeah?
What is it in English?
Waringa. I cannot describe it because nobody saw it. So it normally appeared in the evening.
Oh, I see.
So they have sent you somewhere, you are coming from grazing cows or taking cows to the corral, you reach in the banana plantation, you are going home,
Waringa appears.
then waringa appears.
With those eyes.
So you move forward, it comes forward also. You move backward, it moves backward. You bend right, it bends right. You bend left, it right. Then you say, I am finished.
You start
You
running.
take off.
It also takes off
Go
after.
to where you are coming from. You tell people, I've seen an animal. So they escort you. You come to the place, you look for the animal, you can't find it. So that is your NRM.
Waringa.
Yeah, NRM is basically waring. I have talked to many of these NRM people. All of them will tell you this thing does not exist. They know. Everybody is a survivor. Sarah, you really give these people too much credit. SEC, that you give them 70% for the failures of... Excuse me.
They do nothing.
SEC is simply another bunch of people who are just there.
So how will you score them?
They do nothing.
No, there's no need to score them because they are not supposed to do anything. There's no need to score them. I think we need to be honest with ourselves. In NRM, Museveni is NRM. He is the party. So everybody that you see running around is trying to reach Museveni. So going to SEC is going to Museveni. So I was up country at the weekend, last weekend. I was shocked that someone had to go borrow money to pay people to vote her to be a councillor for LC2.
Did she win? But
No, she didn't win. She didn't win. So you want to be a councillor for LC2, the sub-county, and you have to buy votes. And I'm like, man, this is crude. That's why I'm saying that NRM for me has become like a danger, a cancer to Uganda. Because you see, why are these people? When Awich says people have NRM, so that's why they are competing and coming in. He discounts the issue of indiscipline. Because for you to say, may I have my money, I'm going to take delegates to Nairobi or London, that is indiscipline. For you to begin to describe it as love for NRM, honestly, there is a problem there. when you have these elections we went through for already, where people have to deploy the army, the police, and fight and shoot people, and you say this is because of love for NRM. You guys, we have to be a bit patriotic. I think let me also use the word. Do we really love our country? For me, I have argued that loving NRM and being patriotic to Uganda cannot be in the same sentence, because the way the guys have created this indiscipline, because you see that all of that money that you are using, you are seeing, that's corruption. So when you are trying to define corruption, it's not like some public servant has stolen money or the president has paid MPs to do this. The whole thing. That's why I call NRM a corruption enterprise, because people go in there because they are looking for something, and the fight is about that something. Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph, and then we allow Major wind up.
This NRM regime has perfected a systematic brokenness.
Thank you very much. So, Major, I think the microphone is now yours to respond to the submissions or the issues raised by your colleagues, and also to just wrap this session for us, and we just call it a day.
Thank you so much. I'll be brief like my friends have tried. But also, as you know, all these issues are interrelated, so I may not have to go to each and every issue raised. Some I let pass, and the viewers make judgment. But two things. One, Dr. Robert says that if only Museveni says that people are allowed to pick forms and compete with him, he would join, and he betted. So I believe that he should join now, because forms were open. Number of days were left for people to pick. Either others didn't pick because they feel they were incapacitated to run that office, or they love Museveni because they knew he would pick. So please join NRM now. The other thing I wanted to comment about is the request for Kololo. And we think every other political party will do that. We requested for it from the line ministry, and we are granted. And we also requested, by the way, accreditation center from the Ministry of Communication. That telecom thing near Nakawa, we also requested, and we hope that everybody requests.
What's the line ministry for Kololo?
That is Dr. B. Which one? Kololo is defense, and the other one is Dr. Barium.
But why defense now?
I don't know the structural adjustment in cabinet, how it was done, because cabinet regular is done and the bodies are changed.
Yeah.
Now, before I take leave of that, I want to reiterate that we are organizing a conference. The climax will be national conference. And under my mandate, I've been tasked to invite political parties with the representation in parliament. Those are the ones under iPod. And I've served all, including NUP. So please come and join us. You will be among the high-level delegates. We shall hold you with the courtesy you deserve, because we are not enemies. We are opponents in as far as how we market our alternative views are concerned. So come and be with us and fill a tub.
But for UPC, I haven't received the notice.
I will follow it up. Now, of course, under my committee, we have Secretary Generals of other parties who are coming, ANC from South Africa and all others. We also have under me the ambassadors in Uganda. We want them to see our transparency. We also have past leaders who have confirmed they are coming. The Vice President, Prime Ministers, and the former speakers. We also have NRM from abroad, London, Canada, they are with us. And
have you invited civil society?
Yes, we have invited civil society.
Which organization?
I have to check the list. So we are going to have that. So please do come. Now, finally, I must admit that we have a challenge of the management of internal democracy. I was talking to a friend yesterday called Mr. Joshua Musita. I think he had Musita on it because it is a clan, and that is Museveni's clan. It's Joshua Musita from Museveni's clan. He was complaining about election in a Rushere LC3, and he was saying the winner was declared a loser and the loser was declared a winner. This is a sample of a challenge of internal democracy. I asked him whether they have petition. He said they have petition. I said justice will be done and it will be handled. So because a mishandling of election in the headquarters of the president gives bad example, and therefore I want to confess that we continuously have slight challenges in our management of our internal democracy, but that is what society is. Society is dynamic, you have contradictions, so leave it to us. Party members, don't lose hope, things will be fixed.
Well, thank you very much to you all, Major Awich, Joseph Ochieno, Mr. Godber, Tumushabe, you, Dr. Sarah Bireete, and Dr. Robert Ojiambo, for your insights on today's discussion. We've been talking about the traders' strike and also the NRM CEC elections. Thank you very much for your views, and to you all, thank you for joining us on the channel, and we encourage you to drop us a comment, be part of the discussion. The Citizens Chat Show returns next week, same time. My name is Judith. I'm your host. To join us then. For now, it is bye-bye.